Welcome back, everyone, to The Deep Dive, where we deep dive into the really interesting stuff. Today it's AI, and frankly, even just skimming the headlines is a bit of a whirlwind these days. But the good news is you've sent us some fantastic sources, articles, podcasts, all from December 8th, 2024. So we're talking about the freshest intel. So let's see what we can dig up.
This batch is, I think you'll find it pretty fascinating.
I have a feeling you might be right about that. One thing that really pops out is all the hype, all the energy around AI image generation, and specifically this push for photorealism. We've got XAI rolling out a new model called Aurora. It's powered by Grok 2, and apparently it can create some crazy realistic images. Then you've got, Elon Musk isn't one to be left out, right? So his X platform just launched their own image generator, and wouldn't you know, it's also called Aurora. So it's like, is everyone just racing to make images so real they could fool, I don't know, your grandma?
Well, you hit on something there. Achieving photorealism, it really is kind of a holy grail when it comes to AI image generation. It's a sign that the tech, it's really maturing, and that opens up, well, some pretty wild possibilities.
Like what kind of stuff?
Just imagine, right? A world where you can create these hyper-realistic visuals for movies, video games, even VR. I mean, it could revolutionize those industries. And it goes way beyond entertainment. Think about architecture or product design, where you could have photorealistic renderings that help us visualize things in totally new ways.
Yeah, okay, I'm starting to see where this could go, but we can't just ignore the potential downsides either, can we?
One article mentioned how these advancements in image generation could also make it way easier to create deepfakes. And then, of course, all the worries about misinformation spreading even faster. Right? That's a huge concern. No doubt about it. And the technology behind deepfakes, it's getting more sophisticated all the time. Plus, easier to use. So we've already seen how deepfakes can be used to manipulate videos and, create fake news. It's not hard to see how this could get, how it could escalate with even more realistic images.
So then what can we even do? I mean, how do we address this?
Well, there are a few things people are working on. One approach is developing tools that can actually detect deepfakes by analyzing those subtle inconsistencies in the images, the little things that give them away. Another idea is using blockchain technology to verify the authenticity of images and videos. But at the end of the day, it's going to be a constant back and forth, like a cat and mouse game. As the tech for creating deepfakes gets better, so will the tech for detecting them.
And on top of all of that, we can't forget the legal side of things either, right? AI using copyrighted material for training, that's been a huge debate.
Oh, absolutely. A big one. And it's getting more intense.
Yeah.
One thing that's popped up is pretty interesting is Perplexity and their partnerships with global publishers. Perplexity, there's an AI search engine. They're working directly with publishers to license their content, specifically to be used in AI training.
So instead of that whole, scraping data from the web without permission thing, they're trying to build a system that's more ethical and legal when it comes to using copyrighted material.
Exactly. It's a potential solution, right, to a really complex problem. And it acknowledges, it actually puts a value on the original content, recognizes that it has worth. Now, whether or not this becomes like the industry standard, who knows? But it feels like a step in the right direction, at least.
Okay, let's shift gears a bit away from images for a second. OpenAI has been busy. They've announced this new thing called reinforcement fine-tuning. And honestly, it sounds pretty techy.
It is technical, but it's also incredibly cool. Think of it, imagine you're training a dog, right? You can teach it basic commands, sure, but if you want it to do like specific tricks, you need to really focus its training, give it very specific rewards.
So you're saying reinforcement fine-tuning is like giving an AI model that extra super specialized training.
Exactly. Instead of having an AI that's, sort of good at a bunch of things, you can use this fine-tuning to create a model that's a total expert in one very specific area.
Okay, maybe instead of a dog, let's think like training a world-class pastry chef. They've got basic culinary skills for sure, but then they focus their training on that art of pastry making.
That's perfect, a perfect analogy. And this could lead to, imagine the breakthroughs. AI models specifically trained to, design personalized medical treatments or optimize energy grids or even write symphonies.
Whoa, AI composing symphonies. Now that's something I'd love to hear. But honestly, wouldn't this level of specialization, wouldn't it take a ton of expertise and resources?
Oh, it definitely does. Developing these kinds of specialized models is a very, very complex process and costly, for sure. But the potential payoff is huge.
Yeah.
I mean, if you can create an AI that consistently outperforms humans at some high-value task, well, suddenly the investment seems a lot more worthwhile.
It makes you wonder if we're moving towards a future where AI development becomes even more concentrated, in the hands of these big companies with tons of money.
It's a real concern, and it kind of ties into OpenAI's other big announcement,
Yeah.
which is, the launch of ChatGPT Pro for, get this, $200 a month.
Yeah, I saw that and I was like, wait, what? That price definitely raised some eyebrows. It seems like their bet is that professionals, the people who really rely heavily on AI, they'll be willing to pay a premium for those enhanced features and faster response times.
It's going to be really interesting to see how that plays out. On the one hand, you could argue that it makes those advanced AI tools more accessible to, businesses and organizations that can afford it, obviously. But then there's that other side, the concerns about accessibility for individuals and smaller companies.
It feels like we're at this crossroads. You've got these amazing advancements that could totally revolutionize industries, but then you have to think about the consequences of making these powerful AI tools only accessible to a select few.
Exactly. It's a delicate balance, and something we really need to think carefully about as AI continues to evolve.
All right, so we've got AI image generation, OpenAI making big moves, and all the questions that come with that. But there's a lot more to unpack here. You've also included some sources that seem to offer a more grounded perspective on AI adoption, what's actually happening in the real world.
Yeah, I think it's really important to step back from the hype sometimes and look at the practical challenges of, really using AI.
Totally agree. Let's dive into that next round.
Yeah, it's like it's easy to get, swept up in all the excitement. But actually using AI in a business, well, it's not exactly a walk in the park.
Yeah, that's a good point. It's one thing to read about all these breakthroughs, but actually integrating them, like into systems that already exist, that's a whole other challenge.
Totally. And one of the podcasts you sent over, what it looks like to be ready for AI adoption, it really digs into the nitty gritty, what it actually takes for a company to use AI successfully.
So what are some of the big takeaways from that? What do they really emphasize?
Well, the first thing, and it might seem obvious, but it's having a clear use case. Before you even think about AI, you got to figure out the specific problem you're trying to solve. You'd be surprised how many companies, they just jump on the AI bandwagon without, a real goal in mind.
So it's not just, oh, AI is cool, let's use it. It's more like, okay, we've got this problem. Can AI actually help us fix it?
Exactly. Then once you've got that, the next hurdle is data readiness. AI models, they need tons of data to learn and improve.
Yeah.
And not just any data. It has to be high quality, relevant, properly formatted.
Yeah, makes sense. Garbage in, garbage out, right?
Precisely. And even if you've got the perfect data, there's still this challenge of organizational alignment. Using AI often means changing how things work, workflows, processes, even the company culture.
So it's not just a tech problem, it's a people problem too.
100%.
Yeah.
You need everyone on board, the engineers, the executives, everyone. If you don't have that, well, even the most amazing AI system is probably going to fail.
So clear use case, data readiness, and getting everyone on the same page. Those are the keys. But what about actual examples? Like, are there any real-world applications that stand out from the sources?
Oh, yeah, there are a few. For example, there's a podcast with Joe Spisak from Meta. He talks about how they're using AI for, get this, material innovation.
Material innovation? I'm not even sure what that means.
Basically, it's using AI to create totally new materials, stuff with properties we've never seen before. It could have a huge impact on everything from, making products more sustainable to developing new medical treatments.
Wow, that's pretty wild. So AI isn't just automating what we already do, it's actually helping us create completely new things.
Exactly. And then there's another podcast with Everton Polino from SambaNova. He talks about how AI could totally transform manufacturing.
Manufacturing, that's like as old school as it gets. How did AI even fit into that?
Well, think about it. AI systems that could, optimize production lines in real time, predict when equipment's going to fail before it actually does, or even design totally new manufacturing processes.
Okay, now we're talking. That's some serious futuristic stuff.
It is, and AI could make manufacturing way more efficient, cost-effective, and sustainable.
So it's clear AI is already having a big impact across all kinds of industries. But there's this one source, I gotta say, it really caught my attention. The podcast about enhancing mental performance through brain stimulation with Izzy Goldwasser, the CEO of Thync.
Oh, yeah, that one definitely stood out to me, too. It gets into some pretty fascinating and maybe a little controversial territory.
Brain stimulation, it sounds like, I don't know, something straight out of science fiction. Can you even, explain how that works?
It basically involves using targeted electrical or magnetic impulses to modulate brain activity
So you're saying we can actually change how our brains work with technology?
in a very precise and controlled way, yeah. The research suggests that certain types of brain stimulation can do things like, improve focus, reduce stress, enhance memory, even boost creativity.
Okay, so now it's getting, like, seriously mind-blowing, but is it even safe? And what about the ethics of, messing with our brains like this?
Those are all valid questions, and we have to acknowledge that it's still a fairly new field. We need more research to really understand the benefits and the risks.
But even beyond safety, there are some big philosophical questions here, right? If we can just enhance our mental abilities with technology, what does that even mean for fairness?
Absolutely. What happens if this tech becomes widely available, but only people who can afford it can access it? Do we end up with like a new cognitive divide? These are things we really need to think about as this technology keeps developing.
And what about, could it be misused? Could someone use brain stimulation to control people's thoughts or manipulate them?
That's a real concern, a very real one.
Right.
We absolutely need to have open and honest conversations about the ethical implications of this. We need guidelines, regulations to make sure it's used responsibly.
It's a lot to think about. On the one hand, the potential is amazing, right? But the risks, they're
It's
significant.
like a classic double-edged sword of technology. We have to be careful. We have to weigh the potential benefits against the potential harms very carefully.
Okay, so we've covered a lot. AI image generation, the challenges of actually using AI, and then this whole mind-bending world of brain stimulation. AI is evolving so fast, and it's only going to have a bigger impact on our lives as we move forward.
And as we go, it's so important to stay informed, to be engaged, and most of all, to be critical. We need to ask those tough questions, challenge assumptions, and really think about the consequences of this incredibly powerful technology.
Well said. Now, before we wrap up this part, there's one more story I wanted to touch on. It's about Elon Musk and his company, X, jumping into the AI image generation race. They've got their own version now, also called Aurora, which is, well,
It
interesting.
seems like everyone wants in on the action.
Yeah.
And with, how many users X has, their entry into the market, it could be huge.
It's funny, both XAI, the company, and X, the platform, using the same name for their image generators. It's kind of confusing, isn't it?
Yeah, maybe it's a branding thing to build recognition, or maybe it's just a coincidence, who knows?
Yeah.
But either way, it shows how fast things are moving in the AI world and how chaotic it can be.
And with all the excitement, it's easy to forget about the potential downsides of AI image generation. All those things we talked about earlier, the deepfakes, the misinformation, the ethics of using copyrighted material.
You're right. We can't let the shiny new tech distract us from the potential problems.
So it seems like we've come full circle. We started with the amazing advances in AI image generation. Now we're back to talking about responsible development and use.
Exactly. It's a good reminder that technology, it's a tool. And like any tool, it can be used for good or for bad. It's up to us to make sure AI is used to help humanity, not hurt it.
Couldn't have said it better myself. I think that's a great place to pause for now. We've explored some really fascinating and important ideas in this part, and there's still more to come.
Stay tuned for the final part, where we'll go even deeper into the world of AI and what it means for the future.
Okay, welcome back to the deep dive. I'm still trying to process everything we've talked about. AI images that look more real than ever, the challenges of actually using AI in companies. And then, wow, brain stimulation, that's a whole other level. It's a lot.
It really shows how AI is impacting, well, everything, doesn't it? It's not just about one technology, one specific use. It's about how AI is fundamentally changing how the world works.
You're right, it is. And speaking of changing the world, can we go back to that podcast about brain stimulation for a minute? The whole idea of enhancing mental performance is just so fascinating, but also a little, I don't know, unsettling. It feels like we're right on the edge of something huge, something that could change everything, but with so many ethical questions swirling around.
I think that's a really good way to put it.
Yeah.
The potential benefits are, well, they're pretty incredible. Imagine being able to improve your focus, like on demand, reduce stress, learn faster. I mean, who wouldn't want that?
And it almost sounds too good to be true. And that's what makes me hesitant, What are the downsides, the risks? What could go wrong?
Well, like with any new technology, there are always risks, things we don't know yet. We need more research to really understand the long-term effects of brain stimulation. And it has to be developed and used responsibly, ethically. That's crucial.
One thing that worries me is, well, inequality. What if this technology, what if only rich people can afford it? Would we end up with like an even bigger gap between the haves and have-nots?
It's a valid concern, definitely.
Hmm.
Access and equity, they're super important when we're talking about any technology that can affect what people are capable of.
Mm.
It's something policymakers, society as a whole, we all have to think about and be proactive about.
And what about the potential for, I don't know, misuse? Could this be used to like manipulate people or control what they think?
That's a real possibility. It's something we have to take seriously. We absolutely need clear guidelines, regulations to prevent this technology from being used for the wrong reasons. We have to make sure brain stimulation is only used for, therapeutic purposes, personal growth, not for coercion or control. That's a hard line.
It feels like we're entering uncharted territory here. This technology, it could completely change what it means to be human, you know? It's exciting, but also a little scary.
I think you've captured it perfectly. It's a mix of emotions, curiosity, caution. It's all there. We have to be careful, mindful of the risks, but we can also explore the possibilities with a sense of, I don't know, wonder and responsibility.
Absolutely. I think that's a perfect place to wrap things up. We've covered so much ground in this deep dive into AI, haven't we? The incredible advancements, the real-world challenges, the possibilities that honestly kind of blow my mind. It's clear AI is a powerful force, and it's shaping our world right now, and it's going to shape our future in ways we can't even imagine.
And as we move forward, as we figure all this out, it's crucial that we stay informed, engaged, and most importantly, thoughtful. We need to keep asking the hard questions, challenge our assumptions, and talk openly and honestly about what this technology means, what the ethical implications are.
I couldn't agree more. This deep dive has been, wow, it's been a journey. We've learned so much about the latest in AI, the potential benefits, the potential risks, and we've really wrestled with some of the most profound questions humanity is facing.
It's been a privilege to share this journey with you, and I hope everyone listening, I hope you'll keep exploring the world of AI with that same curiosity, wonder, and responsibility we've talked about.
Thanks for joining us for this deep dive. Be sure to check out the show notes. We'll have links to all the sources we discussed so you can dive in even deeper. And until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, keep learning.